You're watching the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Today, I'm the Metaphysical Mentor, Michael Philpott, and I've been really excited about this show. I've been wanting to talk crystals since I started this show, and I was like, who can I find to talk about crystals, all things crystals? And I have so many of my friends, and I'll be honest with you, I have a crystal addiction. I have to admit it. I have to really out myself there. I got crystals all through my apartment. I love it. And I know a lot of my friends who listen to the show have crystals. So this is a perfect opportunity. And Angela, I am so happy that you're on the show, and I found you through the ARE. And yeah, thank you for being on the show today.
Really cool. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I when I saw your post there on Facebook, I just thought, oh, this is the perfect opportunity, because there's so many misconceptions about crystals, a lot of things. And I wanted to get kind of past some of that stuff and understand a little bit more about crystals. So how did you get involved working with crystals?
Well, I've always been kind of nature-minded, metaphysical to a degree. I always have had a gift of animal communication, and I'm an empath with people. I always know things and feel things. So I've got a little bit of that kind of energy. And as I got older, I started, when I was, I think maybe when I was in high school, I heard about crystals and I thought it's just a rock. I seriously just had that thought. And as I got older, I started looking at my jewelry. And to be honest, I went to California for some training for a company I was working for. And I went to Northern California. This was above Santa Cruz in the mountains. And I started going to this little shop that had, crystals, and it was comparing the crystals to my jewelry. I had some amethyst, and I was trying to figure out what the story was. And I just very quickly got completely involved in them to a large degree. I probably have enough for 3 retail stores in my home, to be honest with you. That's over, 15 years or so. And I started going to rock clubs and meeting with geologists, and I really think it's a natural gift because I have an unusual knowledge of the properties and names, things I didn't really study to a great degree. I just started feeling the energy and using them and understanding them, and I just have to say it's a gift from God, along with paying attention to what I see.
Yeah. I've always been, I've heard stories where people who are attracted to crystals, maybe have used crystals in a past life, when especially back down to Atlantis, or even in Egypt and stuff like that. There's certain crystals that maybe they've been drawn to for certain things like that. Have you ever done anything like that, like a past life, and kind of looked at maybe where your gift came from?
I have had several people that are psychics and psychically inclined. And one was a massage therapist that said, I did crystal grids for Atlantis and Lemuria, and I had another one tell me she sees me doing the grids for. She's a proponent of Sasquatch, is of the star people, to help us be better people, although they're not succeeding. Sasquatch can't make us better, but apparently they mine blue obsidian, which is glass. It's a volcanic glass. I can go into that later, but I was kind of surprised by that story too, but it makes perfect sense to me. Why else wouldn't we have found Sasquatch when so many people have seen him? At any rate, she said that she saw me. She reads, she does psychic readings of the 5th element. She goes up high and helps people that are having hauntings and things like that. And she said she saw me setting grids up for the whole East Coast for good energy. And so I know there's something there that's a past life, because it came on me all of a sudden, and it was complete, whole and complete. I had a house full of crystals in 1 year.
Wow.
And so my thought is, sharing the energy that they bring with people for peace and health and healing. And that's kind of what I lean to with my thought about them.
Yeah. I mean, there's such profound, healing abilities within it. I mean, with crystals, stuff like that too, as well. I mean, I've heard so many stories where people talk about the use of crystals during their healing ceremonies, or, during meditation, things like that, where they can just really amplify and help out in a very subtle way too, as well. And now, do you actually do healing work yourself with crystals, or you just help people to direct them which crystals to use during like a healing
I
session?
do both. I do both.
Yeah.
Whatever someone needs. People tend to come around that need healing. People tend to come around that have lost loved ones. I have a lot of people that lost people come around me. I don't know why, but I have a real connection kind of to the other side. I'm not a medium. I don't really want to talk to ghosts necessarily, but I can feel, I'm an empath, so I can feel what they want to get across to their loved one. And I've also helped them with crystal energy and grief and dealing with that in terms of guiding people with meditations. I've helped with that too. It just depends on what it calls for. I don't really have a script, but people are drawn to me for healing for various reasons.
Yeah. Do you think it's just because of your so profound knowledge of crystals? And crystals, from a modalities point of view, it's very invasive.
I think I don't know that that's what it is. Although it is my specialty, passion type of thing, and that's why the Agriculture Center asked me to do the talks, because I have the profound knowledge, and I'm not a profit oriented. This is not me trying to sell something. So, um, but I think people are drawn to me for my healing energy. I had somebody read my hand one time and they said I was a master healer and I should teach other healers. And, I'm the type of person, I just try to live my life. Maybe I should go try to find that fifth dimension and live in it, but I just live a peaceful, happy life with nature. And so people are drawn to that. And when they come here, they leave and they always feel better, either with crystals or essential oils. I use those too, or discussing and going into a meditative state and trying to figure out where the pain's coming from, type of thing.
Yeah. Are there certain crystals that I mean, because on the vibrational properties of it, are there certain crystals that are more benefit to certain ailments? So let's say, for example, you talked about grief there. Are there certain stones or certain crystals that work better with that, with the subtlety of the energy to help with that?
Oh, absolutely. So they all have a different vibration. And I tell people they grow in the ground, they're not inert. They actually move and grow in, like cubed properties. Like this is a celestite, which is a stone that is said to be to raise you to the angelic realm of vibration. But this is nature. This is how they grow. So
Okay.
they're not just sitting there like a piece of dirt. So we know there's movement there. There's movement there. And, Tesla says that they're a being. He said, we don't know the nature of this being, but nevertheless, the crystal's a being. And I'm assuming he's talking about their properties for collecting atoms and growing as they do. So they all have a different vibration. I tend to think it's kind of on a similar scale that kind of goes up and down, because you have some crystals that are very excited, a lot of energy, like you don't want those in your bedroom. And then you have some that are very calming and loving and gentle. And I tend towards the calming and gentle stones. And so, yes, for grief, there are loving, gentle stones that I recommend all the time.
All right. So, this is one of the things that, I find is fascinating is that the difference of stones, which you can, utilize and stuff like this. This is what I want to pick your brain on it, because there are so many different stones out there and so many different properties. And I really love how you talked about the subtlety of it, and the kind of like they have just two, like there's like active stones and kind of like passive stones.
Kind of. I mean, they're all a higher vibration than us. And if someone comes to see me and we go around looking at stones and I'm showing them stones just to introduce them, we both get high. We both, it's almost like we had caffeine or something from touching them all. So even if you're on a lower scale, it's still a higher vibration than you. But I don't know that resonates differently. I just know what I feel. And like you said, there's no wrong or right here. It's not that difficult. It shouldn't be that difficult. And it shouldn't be concrete, because something might help someone in one way and not help another in the same way. You just have to use your intuition with it. But I know what my common findings are with certain stones. I do know that.
Okay. Yeah. Like one of the things I was curious about too, as well, why are we drawn to certain stones and not others?
Well, I tend to think it's to one of two things. Either you're enamored by the color and beauty of it, right? You don't have your energy turned on to be feeling energy. If you do have it turned on and are more open-minded, you're drawn to the energy. You know, you say people of similar vibrations are drawn together. And I think it's the same with stones. I think you're drawn to what you need, you know, in terms of vibration. I had, did you see the show on carnelian when I spoke about people reacting to carnelian?
No, I didn't see that one. I just saw the last one just recently where you talked about, again, it was basically this topic, and you talked about, what was it, labradorite and black tourmaline and all these other one stones too, or
Yes.
ocean jasper. There were certain ones that you were really attracted to.
Yes, those are my favorites. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you about carnelian. And this is a carnelian.
Okay.
That's a little bug or pocket. It's an agate, and it comes in colors of red, orange, different colors. I brought a couple.
Okay.
I was
So,
thinking of my most important stones, and I wanted
okay.
that you to see that.
Perfect. So what does that particular stone do? So again,
Okay,
I'm pretending like I don't know anything about stones. So
perfect, perfect. So I can tell you these are all carnelians, and this is a little carnelian egg.
that's
It's better to
beautiful.
use smaller stones for meditation, or I think just to get the energy, you know, if you want to just sit there for a while with one. What I usually let people know too is that, you know, stones, you can get 10 books and find 10 different things on carnelian. They're never concrete enough for you to say, okay, I believe I know that. I have geologists that don't know properties that they should know sometimes, but they're all different to different people. But carnelian is known to order, you know, order your mind, and it's for work. You know, you get everything in order. And to me, it was always like a work stone, like a more working stone as opposed to easy energy or high energies. It was a worker stone, which I'm not really attracted to because I'm OCD anyway. I overthink everything anyway. I don't need any more of that. So unbeknownst to me, I still was drawn to it because I had it everywhere. And I had 3 different people that didn't know each other come to my house. One was suffering the loss of a fiance, not death. He left her at the altar 2 weeks before the marriage. Another one was an alcoholic, depressed, kind of still in that mode. And another one had been on, I believe, crack or crystal meth and was sober, getting sober off of everything, and was sober, I think, 6 months at the time. And I tell people to come in and look around and see what you're drawn to. And all 3 of them picked carnelian.
Wow.
And I saw decidedly clear difference in their physical appearance upon holding a carnelian. The addict who was 6 months sober, he was fidgeting. He was very fidgety because I gave him a rose quartz initially, which is a calm, loving stone, and he was flipping it around. And then I handed him a carnelian. And I'll tell you, he's the only one I didn't send around the house. I handed him the carnelian, and he held it, and his face went from this to just utter peace. The wrinkle right here left his face. And I said, do you realize how different you are at this moment than you were 10 minutes ago? And he's like, yeah. And so I'll send them home with those stones. The 2 other girls wanted the stones, and both were decidedly calmer. So I think that there's kind of a misinterpretation of it being a worker stone. It's a calming stone. Yes, it brings order, but the thing is, people who are suffering, it's generally anxiety based. Even if you turn it inwards and you're depressed, your thoughts are all over the place, and it's
Yeah, of course.
anxiety. And so if it's a stone that kind of brings it in order, it's not really order, it's calm. It takes that tree and makes it a big trunk so that you're not feeling like everything's out of control. And that's worked over and over for me. Many
Wow.
people got that stone and are like, wow. And I did have one person that was a workaholic, did not like the stone because it made him tired. And
Interesting.
he wanted to be a workaholic. So
Yeah, he needed to be busy all the time. He needed to be thinking all the time. So to have that, it's just the opposite of what he wanted to do.
right,
And
and he probably needed to calm down, but he didn't want to. So
yeah,
that's why he didn't like it. But you know, stones should be easy for people to dabble, play with, figure out what they're drawn to, and not be too judgy about it.
yeah. That's one of the things. Like, I mean, when you go into a crystal store, and I've been, some can be overwhelming. It's just like I mean, just the energy alone. Like, there's actually a local place just down the road from me, which has a beautiful thing, and they have these really large geodes, and they have these massive clear quartz crystals. And you walk in, it's like, geez, that would be really cool in the house. But you see all these other stones in there, and you kind of look around, and it's like, I feel like I'm a little lost. Like, it's like, how do you start choosing which one do you want? And you're kind of reading the little blurb that they put with the stone. It's like, okay, this is good for this, or this is good for that. And,
What
I
I would
always,
do if it were me, what I would do. See, I was looking at my jewelry and figuring out what the things I had to begin with were, what they were saying about them, and then I got it. I liked natural citrine because I saw Lisa Williams, who's from Britain. She's a psychic. She was on TV and she was talking about how natural citrine clears evil. And so that was my first stone I ever wanted to have, was a natural citrine. And this is a kitty cat citrine. I had this
beautiful.
some of this in my last show. And it was my first stone that I got because I knew what it did. And I don't know why I thought there was evil around. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't any, or if
Yeah.
it was gone, because in my past I've been depressed and anxious, and I wanted the best thing around me. So that was the first thing that I did. And then, so, but if I were, just green as anything and went into a store, I would suggest to people that they try to put themselves into a meditative state, just calm the mind, close the eyes a bit so that you're in a sleepy state. And I would walk around and look and just try to feel what you're drawn to energetically without reading anything about it, because that works. It really does work. And you pick it up, you go to this stone. This is a carnelian, little
Nice.
flame. They call them flames. And I would pick it up and hold on to it. The key to figuring out if something's real or not, it's cold. Minerals are cold to the touch. If they haven't been held, they're cold to the touch.
Okay, that's one of the things I wanted to ask. And, because how do you know what are real, what are fake in some of these stores? Like, it's just like some polished stone that they're claiming it has these properties.
Decidedly colder than glass or plastic. You can feel it.
Okay,
If you got a stone near you, pick one up. It's cold. Guarantee you it's going to be cold to the touch.
it is. I
Natural
actually have a,
minerals, natural minerals are called, that's fluorite, right?
actually,
Or
no, it's amethyst.
Amethyst. Okay. They look like cubic. Yes, amethyst. Cold to the touch.
Yeah,
They're
actually,
cold to
you're
the
right.
touch. And if you pick up your glass, it's not. So that is not always true, but it's 99% of the time true. The natural mineral is cold. So then the other thing you ask is, what about the treatments of them? And I would say this: if the color is too good to be true, it's probably dyed. The bright blues, the bright pinks, these brilliant colors, it's probably not naturally colored.
Oh, I did not know that. They
Mhm.
actually dye stones.
Yes. Yes, you will see like, okay, amethyst is one of my favorites. This is an
Yep.
amethyst sphere. And what I do a lot of times, I take candle holders. This is an amethyst candle holder, and I use that for my sphere holder.
Okay.
I do that a lot with candle holders. What I was going to show you is this agate right here along with the amethyst.
You're just gonna have
It
to
is,
lift it up just a bit there, Angela, so we can pull it in frame there. Okay, yep. So now we see the white little line between it. Yep.
yes, and yours is in the agate as well.
Yep.
Well, you will see some of this polished, like say in TJ Maxx or home goods stores like that. You'll see polished bookends, and it won't be amethyst. It'll be just the white, which is a white agate kind of thing, and it'll be dyed bright blue or dyed pink or green. Those are not naturally occurring colors. Now, amethyst is natural.
Yes.
If you get it in the sun, it fades. Don't put your stones in the sun. They weren't born in the sun. They don't like the sun.
That's it. That's another thing too that I wanted to talk to you about too, because I've been guilty of that, because that's what I was told to how to clear. Like, you put
I was too, and every single one I did faded. I was like, "Are you kidding me? And
wow.
why amethyst turned light purple?"
That's interesting, because one of the things I was always taught is like, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, is how do you clear your stones? Because I've heard so many different things. Like, it's either water, you got to have salt, like tuning forks, singing, like Tibetan singing bowls, smudging. Like, is there a proper way to clear stones? Because obviously the stones are going to, absorb a lot of your own vibration, whether it's positive, negative. And if you're going through a rough patch and stuff like that, you don't want to,
You
keep
want to clear.
amplifying.
You want to clear them as much as you need to in terms of moods and visitors to the house. I'm empathic. I feel vibrations of people going by my house, so I have to be aware of my own self with that and put a guard up for that. But there are several ways I like to cleanse them or clear them of energy. Cleansing is one thing. That's one thing that you can do. You want to be real careful with water, with stones. Water is a good way to clear energy. I would say room temperature, not ice cold, not hot. But with a stone like this, it would fall apart. This whole
Okay.
base falls apart in water. So you have to be very careful about water. Water also will push iron out of stones that have iron color. It's not the best way to do things. And if you want to clean them, I would say a brush, the makeup brush, and I've got a polishing piece over here, one of those polishing gloves I use, just polish them with that. But brushes get down into the geodes, like this is an amethyst geode right here that's a flower, which
Beautiful.
because it's outward, it means it's a flower.
Yeah.
And it was part of a big geode. But I use a brush with that. That's just natural cleansing. Energy clearing.
Yeah, that's what I really like to know.
It's very important in if you ever want to read this book right here.
Okay.
It's a Native American view on crystals.
Okay.
I don't agree with everything that he says. Luke Bourgault, Bourgault, Secrets of Crystal Healing, American Indian. He gives some very good advice in there, and he talks about this clear quartz this guy wore around, and he was having a sore throat and all kinds of throat issues, and he felt the crystal needed to be cleansed. The guy cleansed it, and he was fine. So he's talking about they can really actually physically harm you if you don't keep them cleansed. I don't believe everything I read in any book. I take what I like and leave the rest. That's my motto.
Yeah, of course.
But for me, I love smudging because smudging kills 99% of the bacteria in the air, and it cleanses all energy out of your house, and you can walk through it, cleanse yourself. Your Native Americans used it for celebration, for cleansing, for renewal. It wasn't just to get rid of so-called evil. So it's a good renewing thing. The other thing you can do is bury your stones in the dirt. And I tell this story, smoky quartz is a very sweet stone. It's protective, and it's on the loving level to me of stones, but it's powerful. And it's kind of often overlooked. This is a smoky quartz natural point.
That's nice.
And this is one of the first ones I acquired on one of the shopping things online. And it was very dark brown. You could not see through it. It was very dark brown. It's the only stone I've ever gotten that I thought was evil. I thought it had a dark energy about it. And so I decided, I read about it, and people were like, well, just throw them away or break them. And I was like, there's no way you could possibly permanently inscribe a stone with energy because they're vibrational. So I buried it for 6 months in my backyard, and I pulled it out, and you can see through it now. Literally, the dark spirit is gone from it. And I've never seen one change colors like that from that. But
that's just by burying it in the ground.
Yes, got rid of the dark energy. But you have to remember, this is where they're born. They're born in the ground. They're mined from the ground or water. So I think sunlight is a horrible thing for them. Personally, I think it hurts them.
That's an interesting thought, because that was like, I have crystals right now on my windowsill just for the light, just to clear them off. And I always,
No. This is a clear quartz with a little inclusion in it.
okay.
My friend, the one I told you about that talks to Sasquatch and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
She is in the Asheville area of North Carolina, and she went by a crystal store and she heard them screaming at her, and it was a window full of clear quartz in the sunlight. And she went inside and said, please move these out of the sunlight. So I'm not the only one that has that thought.
Wow, that is so interesting. I just thought because of the solar light and the energy and the literally the light is actually clearing it, that it would actually be harming them. And that's
burning.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to pull my quartz crystal out of there, because I thought, okay, I'm going to just put it in the sun. And
it's gorgeous, but it doesn't make them feel good. I mean, can you imagine you're born in the deep, dark recesses of the earth and somebody puts you on the sunlight?
I never, the thing is, when you talk about that way, I just had this little guilt feeling, like, what am I doing to my crystals? Because they're like, they're like my peeps. Like, I don't have animals, I don't have cats and things like that because I'm allergic, stuff like that. But so my crystals and my plants are kind of like my kids, I call them, right? So that in my brain, I'm like, I can't believe I'm hurting my crystals. So I'm definitely not going to be putting them in the sun. So smudging for sure, I can definitely do. Now I've seen you use. Sorry, what was this?
Smudging is a great thing to do.
Okay, I just lost you there a little bit on audio there.
Smudging is a great thing to do.
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry. I leaned back, I think.
Yeah.
You're going to ask me about the tuning fork?
Yeah, I saw you use the tuning fork. Now, are there specific tuning forks, specific crystals, or can you just use one particular tuning fork to kind of clear it out?
I think that if it resonates with the crystal, it's probably doing its job. This is the tuning fork I use is a Jonathan Goldman quartz tuned fork. I don't know the megahertz. He didn't put it on there and he doesn't mention it, but it says Healing Sounds Crystal is on the back of it. And I think I wouldn't want to use other tuning forks or other sound methods, because if they don't make a noise with the stone itself, they aren't doing the work. Because we'll try this when I know I've cleansed it recently, but if it's clean, it doesn't make much noise. Okay. And so that tells me this is working. If it's dirty, it makes a lot of noise. So if you use a crystal on something or a fork on something and hear nothing, I wouldn't use it because it's not doing what it's supposed to. Let's see if this one works.
All right. So right now, Angela is just basically taking the tuning fork and just placing it over the crystal. So for those who listen to the podcast, you can barely hear anything.
It's strong here. The noise is very strong here.
Yeah, the audio is not picking up, but it's an interesting, the audio is not picking it up. That's okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Well, but for those who see, that's a great thing about video. They can see what you're doing, right? So if the audio didn't pick it up, it happens. But that's an interesting way. I never really thought how that if it's not making a sound, it's not effective. So for example, I was listening to your show the other day and I thought, okay, I don't have a tuning fork, but I do have a Tibetan singing bowl. I thought, because I was trying to think about ways of clearing my crystals, and I was kind of like, all right, so how am I going to clear this crystal? Because I don't have a tuning fork. And I saw you doing that. It's like, I know my stones, my kids, I call them, are, trying to clear them. And I thought, what if I just use my Tibetan singing bowl? Because I use that to kind of clear the energy space and just in general.
I had somebody ask me that question on a show one night. And I said, I know it's a wonderful sound. I don't think that it works because it's not geared to the stone, and the tuning fork is. And even though you don't hear much noise, when it's cleansed, you don't hear much noise. But if you didn't hear anything with the fork and a stone, then it's not doing anything. I don't think the bowl would work as much as I like the sound of the noise. I just would not be sure of it. I can't say one way or the other.
Now, if the crystal bowl, if the Tibetan singing bowl was a crystal bowl, because I've seen those, would that make a difference? Because a crystal possible.
It's possible. I mean, the fork, when it's making that noise with a stone, is cleansing the energy of the room and the rest of the stones as well. It like cleans everything. Mm-hmm. So the more you do that with your quartz, which there's rose quartz, amethyst, the celestite is a quartz, the type of quartz, citrine is a type of quartz. If you're using that and you're getting plenty of noise, you can consider the rest of the stones. Let's try this smoky, because I haven't done this one. This is a smoky. I know you were going to probably ask me the favorite stones or the ones you should have, and smoky is one. So we'll try this because it's a quartz, and we'll see if it makes any noise. It is. It's making a noise.
Yeah, the microphone's not picking it up, but I could just slightly hear it. I could hear that kind of hum, really like it's like a very, very loud kind of echoey. So my microphone's picking up. So you're probably not going to be able to pick it up on audio for everybody's listening, but that is very cool.
But that is a very clearing sound for everything. I think there's another one too. Do you have any selenite?
Okay, you have to show me which one, because what would be selenite? Would that be the white?
It's white. It looks white, cloudy, but it's stripy.
Yes, I do that. Yes, I do have that. I just don't have it available with me right now.
Well, selenite plates are very reasonably priced. They look like a plate. They're rough. They're about this thick, and they're oddly shaped, flat pieces.
Yeah.
Selenite cleanses other stones. You can set your stones on there and cleanse them.
Okay.
It's a very cleansing crystal to have. I'm not really drawn to it other than I know it cleanses other stones. And I have plates around where I put my new jewelry. Anything that's got a stone, I put new things on there. But my favorite is sage. That's my very favorite. In dirt, or you could get a bowl of rice. You can put your stuff in a bowl of rice because it's emanating. It's resembling the burial in the ground. It's putting it in the dark, letting it regenerate its energy.
Wow.
So
that is so interesting. Yeah,
and I think you could do it in your plants, in your dirt in the house. It doesn't have to be outside.
That I do have plants, yeah, because I live in an apartment, so I'd have to be really doing that. It's really interesting. I'm definitely thinking about that. I'm sure my plants are probably going to love it too. They're probably going to go, "Hey, what's going on with this supercharged?"
I mean, I put them in the plants. If I break one, I stick them in the plants. I stick the good end up in the plant. So I have them all over the house like that. But it's I tell people intention is everything, but you really can't intentionally cleanse a stone without something, because clear quartz holds energy so strongly, and it is an amplifier. So if it's negative, if somebody comes in your house and touches it and it's negative, you want it cleansed,
So that's one of the things also I thought it would be really important to talk about. So if you get a gift, like somebody gives you a gift of a crystal and stuff like that, or somebody has crystals and he says, oh, I'm getting rid of these crystals. Do you want them? Is it wise to bring them in the house or trying to clear them first before you bring them in the house? Because potentially they may carry some type of negative energy on them.
Well, you're talking to somebody who adds crystals a lot, and I generally put them on a selenite plate when I get them
Okay.
for that purpose. I don't want to set them around necessarily. If I know, like natural citrine cleans other stones, natural citrine is okay. It's like a top evil, repeller, and it clears other stones. But I'm not talking about the heat treated amethyst. I'm talking about natural citrine, which is a kind of a dull color gold. Heat treated amethyst is called citrine, and it's really not citrine. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. This is an example of a heat treated amethyst.
Okay.
The difference is you can see that it's orange as opposed to goldy, looking, and it's also got that white matrix on the bottom.
Yeah,
like
it definitely
amethyst
does.
has. So this is sold as citrine.
But it's not citrine at all. It's just heat treated amethyst.
Yes, but it's called citrine. Even geologists don't know the difference. I've asked them and they're like, oh, there's no difference. Well, there's a huge difference in natural citrine, which is a different mineral altogether, found in the Congo, and heat treated amethyst, which is found everywhere. I don't think it changes the property necessarily, though I don't like to treat any stone. I don't like any stone that's been treated because I feel like it may have changed some properties.
Of course. I mean, that always makes sense, right? If you add changing the molecular structure of it by adding heat to it, right? You're going to change the vibrational properties of it in some ways too, because it has a natural vibrational property.
I think you could very well do that. And I've seen some stones in resin. They're called aragonites, I believe, or I think it's aragonites, that you will see like pyramids with stones in resin, and they're sold as powerhouses of stones. I think you're suffocating my friends. I think it makes them negative. I don't have any of that.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, there's just so many different things that, like that people sell, and they're claiming that they're doing this, or they're claiming that they're doing that, and they're really not that sort of thing. So, one of the things I had like a list of stuff, like I was actually kind of worried that I was trying to break down the list because I had so many questions. I actually have a notepad.
We can do two sessions. We can do another one.
we may have to, we have to do a part 2 to this.
I can talk all day on this.
You know what? I can too. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to this. And I have a good friend of mine. She's got a house full of crystals. And I always, when I go over her house, it's always like, ooh, what's that? It's like she's got a new toy or something like that. Where's that? Who's that crystal? I just love that. And the house is just full of beautiful energy. Like it's just a very calming, lovely energy.
Well, I think they saved my life, to be honest with you, is
really
preposterous as that might sound.
No, I don't think that. I don't really think that is preposterous at all. So look, yeah, please talk about that.
Well, it's just that, when I got started playing with them, I wasn't in a bad place necessarily. I had started a new job and was, going through the stress of a new job. I liked it, but I was going through that, but I wasn't going through too much negative. But it's just that as I amassed them, and this is like, I don't know, a 20th of what I have behind me, maybe. I mean, I've got tons of stuff in this house. This is my dining area. My grandfather made that bookcase for my grandmother, by the way. And I've taken it with me everywhere. But once I got them amassed, it's just, I noticed that my energy is pretty calm, level, at a higher vibration than normal. And I just think they bring me joy, and they bring me protection, and I just think the life is good. It's not perfect, but I think they did save my life, really.
Wow. That's the nice thing about crystals. They're so profound. Again, they're non-invasive, right? Like, that's what I love about them. Like the subtle energy. I know, Edgar Casey talked a lot about, the subtle vibrational energy of crystals and, wearing it and how it can help people on just subtle things and stuff like that. And again, it's a very subtle thing. So it's not like wham, it's going to, cure all, but it's just that
Like
subtle,
natural healing, when you do natural healing of any kind, usually it's not instant. It's not what we're used to as instant, right?
yeah, we want it instant, of course.
Yes, yes. In modern medicine, you need instant for serious things. You need instant for deadly illness. But the subtle energies, as they shift your own energy, that's what brings you to the person you want to be if you're looking for something positive.
Yeah.
Crystals have always had a negative connotation, right? That they're evil. When I was younger, the church claimed that they're evil. You must be a witch if you're messing with crystals. And of course, I think that anywhere people can use something for negative, and they're powerful. So I could see them doing that. But Edgar Casey said, if you do that, you're going to get darkness back.
Yeah,
it's karma. So I don't use them for that, and I'm not a witch either.
Yeah. Reap what you sow, for sure. Now, one of the things, because a lot of my listeners are holistic practitioners and they're psychics and different things like that, and they're delving into the metaphysical world. Are there certain stones let's start with protection. Let's start with the basic one. So I started out as a holistic practitioner. Maybe I'm a masseuse, or I mean, even a chiropractor or something like that, but somebody's doing body work. And then I have somebody who is a medium or psychic, stuff like that. Are there certain stones? We're just going to start with protection first. So let's start with protection first stones. Are there certain ones that we should be having in our office or in our space?
Absolutely. Of course, the natural citrine is always a good protector. I like labradorite because it not only enhances your psychic ability. Can you see the blue flash in that?
Yep. Just as you tilt it, you see that blue flash. Yep.
Beautiful, like light blue flash in it. Labradorite flashes, and that's why I like it, because I think it kind of says hello when you walk by, because you can walk by and see nothing, and then you can walk by and see a big old splash of color. It protects against psychic attack, and it enhances your psychic ability too. So it acts as a protector and an enhancement of your own powers. So I think that's a good one to have in any kind of healing office. I mean, you don't know what people's motives are, and if you're having a bunch of different people in, you want to keep anything away from you that could be harmful, because you don't know.
That's one stone I do not have. So definitely, labradorite, right? Okay.
Yep. Spell it Labrador, ITE.
Okay.
And here's two other examples. One of them is a brilliant dark blue, like cobalt blue flash. There you go.
It almost looks like lapis. Then when you shine it, it flips. Yeah. It looks like lapis almost.
It's labradorite, unusual color, cobalt blue. And this one is colors of the sea, I think. It's kind of turquoise to gold.
Okay.
And they go anywhere from that color to a purple color. But that's one of my favorite stones, because I think it's so beautiful, but I also like the protective nature of it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So for those who are listening there, so all you body workers and psychics out there listening, or just in general, if you just, you want to have it in the house, I think, because we're picking up stuff all the time. Whether you're commuting to work, you live in a busy city and stuff like that, you got crazy neighbors, and, you never know what you're going to pick up during the day.
You don't know what people's motives are. And so I like to keep it thinking it's working good for me. Another one, my favorite for protection, is black tourmaline.
Tourmaline.
Okay. And this is the natural form of it. It's a big piece, but it's the natural form of it.
Okay.
I have some little necklace pieces in sterling that I wear, and I give to my friends. They're little chunks that look like this, but they're small. And then you can get it polished too. I mentioned that in the show. It's very soft. This chips off really easily. It's like a polished sphere. If you get black tourmaline out there in the world, it's not going to look shiny black. If it's shiny black, it's probably not black tourmaline, because it's got too many inclusions, too many different things built in when they polish it, that it doesn't polish up shiny, really shiny anyway. It's got cracks and imperfections in it.
Okay, that's a good indicator too as well.
The shiny stuff is probably black obsidian, could be jet or onyx. All the black stones are supposed to be very protective, but tourmaline's natural. Obsidian is natural, but it's volcanic form glass. It's not a growing mineral like tourmaline is. So I tend to lean towards tourmaline over obsidian.
Okay, so black tourmaline. Okay.
Mhm.
So not obsidian. So no, not a black obsidian. So basically the black
They like it. It's up to them if they like it. I don't want to put it down. It's just, I tend to go towards the natural minerals.
yeah. Okay. All right. So, okay, we have those two. Is there any other ones for
Amethyst,
protection?
well, amethyst is a good protector.
Okay.
Amethyst is also known as an addiction stone. Most people don't mention that, but it's supposed to help you with addiction. But it's a protector and it's an enhancement of your psychic abilities as well.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then the last one that I would suggest for sure is, and this is not protection, this is enhancement of psychic abilities. They all protect you. I feel like they're my friends like you do. I kind of feel like they're working for me. But it's purple anhydrite or angelite, and I don't have one sitting here right now. I didn't
I've never
realize I
heard of
was
that.
going to talk about that. If you want me to go get one, I can go get one. If you don't mind me disappearing for a second.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just, I'll pause the recording. Yeah. So I'll just hold on. Okay. So this is interesting. Now you got some extra samples there to show us which ones you have there.
Yes, this is purple anhydrite or purple angelite. And it's known as purple angelite. The correct name is anhydrite. And what it's kind of got a shimmer about it. And some people, will mistake that for lepidolite, which is another purple stone. I'll tell you about that too. I'll show you. This is lepidolite. It's got mica in it. You can always tell it's lepidolite because you'll see bits of mica in it. As
Okay.
opposed to the shimmer of this, which looks more like a line of silk shimmer, a little different. Anhydrite apparently enhances your psychic abilities to the highest degree. It's one of the highest vibrating stones. This is chlorite or epidote, one of the other. It's dark green. It brings you to Mother Nature. I see this in anhydrite a lot. I also see peach calcite come with anhydrite.
So that's another purple stone.
It's mined and it comes that way. But it's purple anhydrite is always purple. It just may have some other little stones in it like that calcite. I think that's got some calcite in it.
Okay.
But I've got two friends that are psychic that I do believe are legit. I have a lot of people that claim it, and I don't know if they are, but there's some that I believe. I gifted them each a big piece of this, and they both told me that in their sessions, they were in a higher vibration longer and did better readings. So it does work, at least for those two.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting because that would be really profound too as well. Just yeah, because as the human body, like there's sometimes where if you're doing readings and you're trying to keep that vibration high, sometimes you're having a bad day, you didn't get much sleep, and it's time to connect with your angels or the spirit and stuff like that, and you kind of need a little boost. So that would be actually a fantastic thing. So what was that stone again? So I'm just going to write that one down.
Purple anhydrite, also known as angelite. There's a blue angelite as well, but that's not the same thing. This is purple angelite or anhydrite.
All right, so I'm going to write that one down there. So that's fantastic. So black tourmaline, labradorite. So definitely, I'm definitely going to get some black tourmaline.
That's a goodie. I have it everywhere.
Yeah, I that's something that now. As far as stones go, are there certain stones that you should or shouldn't have in your bedroom? Because I know certain stones, like you talked about, more active or exciting stones, and then there's more kind of loving, kind of subtle stones that would be beneficial to have in the bedroom. Because, I was thinking about the other night, and it's like, maybe I should take some. I did an experiment, because I like to experiment. And I said, because I had some, I usually had the amethyst in my bedroom. I had an amethyst and I had a lapis in my bedroom. And that's usually the kind of stones I had there. And then I realized, let me just take those out, just see how I sleep. And I didn't noticing it nothing tonight, but I'm just going to keep practicing, keep the crystals out. Are there some that should be in the bedroom and it shouldn't be?
I was going to say that again, it's up to the individual.
Okay.
The same psychic who loved the anhydrite told me that amethyst made her see dead people, and she doesn't want to. She doesn't do that. She's an animal communicator. She doesn't want to see dead people, so she doesn't keep amethyst anywhere near her much in her bedroom. She keeps it around, but not in her bedroom. And amethyst is known to help you sleep. I don't like amethyst in my bedroom. It doesn't help me sleep. It's too active for me. So there you go with one saying it's a sleeping help, and I'm saying I don't think so. And that is a totally personal feeling or intuition. Like you're doing exactly the right thing to experiment. But my guess is I want loving things around me, the lower vibrations like rose quartz, plenty of rose quartz. Rose quartz is the mother love stone. And there's nothing negative about it. This is a little temple that's carved, a rose quartz carved
That's
temple.
beautiful.
I love these little, what do you call them? I can't remember what you call them, but I like them. And then this is a bigger one. Big
That's
rose
nice.
quartz.
That's a nice polished one there.
Mhm. This is a difference in a Brazilian cut and a China cut. This is probably a Chinese cut stone. I hate to say that, but they're rough, not polished. Whereas
Yeah.
a Brazilian cut stone will have beveled edges and be polished on the bottom.
A little more workmanship.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Now, are there certain areas or certain regions where certain crystals are better? Let's say, for example, like, it's like anything, right? Let's say, for example, where's the best wine grown? Where's the best, best food grown? Is there certain places around the world that are better known for certain crystals? So let's say I know
Madagascar,
Madagascar.
labradorite, or ocean jasper is the only place it's found is Madagascar. I would say Brazil, of course. The Congo has some beautiful stones. We have beautiful clear quartz here in Arkansas, tons of clear quartz.
Well, that's what I heard. Like I've heard that there's like a beautiful mine down there, and it's like one of those really, kind of sacred places in Arkansas. And I know a gentleman who was recently crossed over. I know James Tiburon was very big on, he did a lot of seminars down there about.
Well, I would say there are stones everywhere, right? We just haven't dug far enough to find them. One of the geologists I studied with is a professor of geology, and her family had oil fields in Iran. And she got to watch them drill down and see each plate of the earth and see what was in each plate of the earth. And it was very interesting to hear from her, what she learned there. And I've got friends that have mines. There's a lepidolite mine in California. Lepidolite, that's the stone I was showing you. This actually has lithium in it. And when this friend had children come into the mine who were active, she would give them all a lepidolite to play with, and they calm down immediately because the lithium calms them down.
Really?
And I've done the same thing in my house when my friends bring kids over, I give them lepidolites. And all of a sudden they're like, they're just calm as they can be.
Wow, that would be really interesting. I mean, especially if children have ADHD or stuff like that. You imagine, having that even maybe in a classroom or something like that, or
the carnelian too. I mean, if the carnelian can calm the anxiety of the people I've seen with negative things going on, I can imagine that working. But you would want, again, you'd want to experiment with the actual child because you don't know what their vibration is. It might bother them to have a certain stone, and you could tell by watching because they have a natural reaction to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, they really have no filter. So they'll you can see their mood or something shift really quickly with children because they don't have all those layers yet like we do as adults. So
exactly.
Oh, wow. Now, okay. So from psychic protection to clearing. So let's say we say clearing. So it was a celestionite. Did I pronounce that right?
Well, clear celestite.
Celestite. Thank you.
Is blue. Celestite is blue. It's not really clearing. It takes you to the angel realm. It's a very sweet stone. You could have that in your bedroom easily because it's a sweet stone that takes you to the angelic realms. To me, it's a good bedroom stone.
Okay.
I also had smoky quartz. I used to have smoky quartz with me all the time, and I don't have it, but it's not because I don't want it. I just don't have it in there now. I like that for the bedroom too. It's protective and it's a softer protection stone. Any ocean jasper you can have there. Ocean jasper is nothing but a love stone. I don't ever find anything but love in these stones. This is one that's got more turquoise in it. They come with so many different colors. Ocean jasper is made in the water where the minerals are churned together and they almost create another stone.
That's interesting.
This is a smaller one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful stone.
Yeah. It's got some vugs in it. Vug is a little hole that has more crystals in it. We call it a VUG, vug.
Okay.
And most of the jaspers, look, these are, can you see these behind me? You can't see them, can you?
I can't see them and stuff like that, but we definitely have the jasper stuff like that. So
red jasper is another love bug stone, just like the ocean jasper. I tend to think most jasper is lovey.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's, I always just find it so fascinating. Yeah. So now as far as, let's say, for example, people are suffering from certain illnesses. Now, I know we're both not doctors, and, of course, if you're having serious illness, go see your family physician. But there are certain stones that you can use for certain elements. Let's say, for example, obviously we're talking about, like, calming the mind, ADHD, and kind of addictions. You know, what other stones have some, great properties that would help with some type of illness that would just help?
I've had a few people consult with me on cancers and recovering from cancer, et cetera. And I take each illness as it comes, and I look at the symptoms and try to look, and I also look at books and see what I can find. I don't just go with my mind. I try to see what's out there. But I also look at symptoms. What symptoms are you having? What do you need? And for those types of illnesses, they're all different. But I have found fluorite, which is spelled Fluorite. It's spelled fluorite, but it's commonly called fluorite. And I have a couple of pieces of that to show you. It's another kind of important stone to have. It's a zippy stone for me. And I've had people hold it and feel some kind of like little charge with it. And also in meditating, I've had people put it either on their crown chakra or their neck and have a very strong, good vibration with it. But it's also known to heal, for healing purposes, and especially in cancer. So I've had some people get some of that, some carnelian, which I told you about already. So carnelian is supposed to be a good healer. And the selenite, which I don't have an example of, but that it's that chalky looking, well, silky looking white.
Yeah.
And it comes often in those little cyclical pyramid pieces. Some of those are lit up. And again, I kind of don't like my stones to be lit up if they're hot. If it's an LED light, it's okay. If it's a heat, I won't let them do it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. That's really interesting. Yeah. Do you have a lot of people that come to you for consultations when they have illnesses and stuff like that?
Some do, because they're at their wits' end and looking for everything they can look for. And I don't blame them one bit. And I just try to caution them that, you got to do what you got to do with serious illness. But these can help. And I just kind of tread lightly with that. Rose quartz is always a healing stone. It gives love, brings love. It's a circular love thing. So that's always a good one too. And there's also talk of bloodstone being a good healing stone. In fact, some have said that it disappears with people with certain illnesses once they keep using it. It uses itself into you, but I haven't seen that. I've just heard it. It'd
That's
be worth
interesting.
looking up.
I never heard
bloodstone.
about that. Yeah, rose quartz I've heard, because obviously love. Like, I mean, love is the vibration of love, and in the presence of love, no illness can, kind of stand, is from what I understand. But yeah, that's really interesting how, it's amazing when, when somebody's at their last kind of ditch, they're just looking for something, kind of a help boost and stuff like that. So I just think even just a calming stone, just to calm their energy and the anxiety of it. Because
carnelian, I found the carnelian under cancers, and I think probably of all the stones, like I will tell people, okay, clear quartz is the Mac Daddy, healer stone, most prolific ancient stone. This is an ancient Brazilian that self-healed on the bottom, created its own quartz on the bottom.
Well, that's interesting.
It broke. And it's a master stone, but it also amplifies things. So I don't guide people to it that don't handle stones very much, because I want to make sure they're cleansing them. Because if they're amplifying things, that means there's an argument in the house, or somebody's sad. I don't want that. I want to make sure they're clearing it to use it. You know what I mean?
Amplify, let's say, for example, for like you want to amplify protection. Could you just take that and then put that on with the black tourmaline, or what was the purple angel light?
You could do that. I would suggest for amplification purposes, I combine stones on my body here and there, not really with that thought process, but usually people use a grid to create an energy situation or amplification. And in that case, it's like a mathematical art piece. I would take a small square to start with, put what it is you want to amplify in the center, and you can put 3 or 4 pieces, but I try to do it mathematically. So I might put 3 black tourmalines, and then I would lay pieces of clear quartz out in beside of it. They don't have to be exactly the same size, but similar size points or pieces. And I would consider that a protection amplified.
Okay. That's an interesting way.
Wearing, I don't know about wearing. I would say probably.
Okay.
Just make sure the clear is cleansed and make sure your intent with it is clear.
Yeah. Are there certain stones that you should not wear on a daily basis?
It depends on how they make you feel. You have to use your intuition. I will say that Moldavite, which is a techite, it is a meteorite blown glass that is only found in Czech because the meteorite landed in Czechoslovakia. And it's a little green, weird looking stone. I've got a couple of pieces of jewelry made out of it from a lady that was selling a lot of it. It's pretty expensive, but it's also, if it came from outer space, the concept is it could be alien energy. It's a very high energy stone. It's I don't mind it, but I can't wear it for long. I don't wear it often either.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Now, there's another stone I heard a lot about, especially when it comes to tech and, EMF and stuff like that, was shungite.
Yeah, shungite is known to protect you from EMF energies, and I have like little pyramids around my electronics, etc. And I also have a few. Trying to see what I have on today. Oh, I've got moonstone on today. I don't know what I wore today, but it's definitely a powerful protector. I have a few rings made of it, and it's known for healing as well. Your body. It's supposed to be a real good healer for your body.
Really? I
So
did not know that. I knew it was good for, I've heard it was good for EMFs and protection, stuff like that, but for your body too as well.
it's a master. It's a master stone. I would definitely say it's got multiple properties.
That's an interesting thought. I did not know that. That's good. Yeah, I'm so glad that you're on because I'm getting so much more educated in crystals. And I mean, I always, like you said, like there's so much information out there. Like you say, one book will say one thing. You pick up another crystal book, they'll say the other thing too, as well. And there is a part of you where your intuition has to kind of come through and to kind of feel what stone works for you and stuff like that. And I
Well,
always,
there are people too that want to sell, like that's their primary purpose, and then they get very definitive about stones, and I don't really like that because I think that because they're vibrational in nature, different shapes, sizes, different mineral content, because most of them are mined and different minerals are included in some of the stones. So they're not exactly the same vibrationally. So that being said, we're vibrational. We're not the same vibrationally. So how could you say a one is good for all thing on anything like that? You know?
yeah. Do you have like a top five of stones that if people are just listening to this podcast and they're kind of going, where do I start? We talked about a few areas, but if you were like, people were kind of going, okay, where do I start? Where do I really want? So it seems like it's like a quart, like a rose quartz seems to be like that.
Number one.
Citrine.
Natural citrine was my favorite. It is
Yeah.
pretty expensive sometimes, and you have to watch out because people heat treat it to
Okay.
make it a prettier color. And
Okay.
I'll tell you, when you see one of those, they don't look this dull. They look kind of green. They almost look like some kind of foreign green. You can see
Okay.
that a shimmer. If that's the case, it's been heat treated.
It's been heat treated.
But yeah, I mean, I love natural citrine. It's one of my favorites. I don't think I put it on the list necessarily because it's not that easy to obtain sometimes.
All right.
I definitely would say rose quartz, and I would say the black tourmaline, labradorite, lepidolite. Like I said, lepidolite is so good for calming. This that purpley
I
light.
have a friend of mine who she's got some crazy kids. I'm sure she's going to be listening to this and she's going, where do I find a crater full of that?
Lepidolite.
Yeah.
Well, you can look. I tell people all the time. When I started looking in person and going to gem shows, I also looked on Etsy. And stones are sold by weight and by material. So it could be like rose quartz is not expensive. So you can look on Etsy and look at 3 or 4 different points from different sellers, see if you can find the measurements and weight, and then compare to figure your price, what your price should be in the middle somewhere. But when you're dealing with something specialty that's beautifully carved, it's worth more money,
Of
and it's
course.
worth what it's worth to you. I might be willing to pay $50 for this. Somebody else may not be, whatever is right for you. But that's kind of how you start figuring it out, is by comparing what you're seeing.
Now, is there a difference in the shape of the stone? So I know you have a lot of them are like orbs, or balls, and some are more of like a kind of a point to them, stuff like that. Is there really much difference in that, or is it just more cosmetic?
Well, some people say that certain shapes are more powerful. like this particular shape is like an ancient shape, and it's
like an obelisk.
An Egyptian powerhouse shape. It's also meant to bring order. Actually, I did look it up one time to see what it meant, and I think that the value is in the vibration. I let people believe what they want to. They say that a double pointed or double terminated stone is more powerful because it's got 2 points on it. They also say a certain number of windows are more important. I just like the stones all around, and I don't really ascribe to one shape as more powerful than the other, because I might pick up a stone that I feel is powerful for me that might not be for somebody else, depending on what happens when they hold it. It's the mineral itself. The shape would not change the vibration of whatever that mineral is. Scientifically, it doesn't make any sense. Not that this is all science. It's not all provable. The vibration is provable. That it does anything is not, nor is much psychically easily provable.
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, have you had any experience with 5-Vogel crystals? 5-Vogel crystal? It's especially designed.
Vogels. Yeah, Vogel. The guy's name was Vogel, Vogel, that created this shape. It's like a double terminated. I don't have any. I've got them in the other room. I don't have any sitting here. Okay. This is a double terminated rose quartz. It's pointed on both ends. And for me, I have a lot of these all in one area sitting around. And they say they're more valuable because of the double points. Well, okay, they might be. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure of that. I think the property is in them themselves. But the Vogel, Vogel did a whole study on this particular shape. And I have his paperwork. It's probably a 20-page document. I've read some of it. I haven't studied it real seriously. True Vogel cut stones are expensive because they're a certain measurement. They look kind of like that double terminated stone, but they have many panels, many flat panels instead of 4. They have a bunch and they're round. They're more round shaped, but you can sit them down on one of those little panels. They're very beautiful, and perhaps they are more powerful shaped like that. I don't know. He thought they were. And now when you go to gem shows, et cetera, you'll see a lot of those stones that really aren't really Vogel. They don't meet the criteria for his cut. They're just cheaply made, cheaply cut.
And they're just trying to knock them off as that. And just because of the name, the so-called Vogel crystal, that they can charge a higher premium price for it. And it could be glass for most people.
You never know. You'll know because it won't be cold.
Yeah. That's a really good tip, because I was always concerned about that. Because when you go to a gem show, you see you got these tables, hundreds and hundreds of them, and they're all polished and they're all glicked. It's it's like, ooh, which one? That looks pretty. And you don't know if they're glass or they're fake or stuff like that. But again, if they're cold to the touch, then
they're probably a natural mineral. That's such an easy thing to do, and it's very truth. It's the truth. And you can experiment in your room. Pick up something that isn't a stone and pick up a stone, and it's very different temperature. But I'll say something else too. If you're looking at clear stones like quartz, clear quartz, so to speak, which this is a clear quartz on the end, of course, you see the white in the bottom. Clear quartz is called clear quartz, whether it's completely clear or not. It is not often you're going to find one completely clear. That's almost impossible. Like this, and of course, they're not all this full of inclusion and crackle and things like that. But when you see something really, really clear, beware. Could be glass. If you see bubbles in it, it's glass.
That's another way. That's a really good indicator too, as well. If you see bubbles in it, because during the blowing process, wherever the process of doing it, there could be some air bubbles in it. So that's a really good indicator. So I like that. So I'm going to pay a little more attention.
There's some stones that do have a natural anhydro or a piece of bubble that has water in it. You'll find some stones like that are expensive because you can see that little water in there, but that's different than a blown looking bunch of bubbles, which you can tell is a craft type of thing. That and color are the 2 biggest things I would say. And I'll tell you something else. At a gym show, I got a beautiful boulder looking piece of clear quartz. Wasn't clear, of course. Yeah. And I got it home. I got it for a good price. I should have known. It had a fine crack all the way around it, and it was expertly glued back together. It's called a repair job. Wow. You didn't sell it with a repair job. I wouldn't have bought it with a repair job because I'm OCD. I want a crack glued stone. I think you're hurting my stones by putting glue on them.
Yeah.
So, but to my naked eye at the time, I couldn't see that. And I was pretty experienced when I did that. So I was like, duh, So you can, when you're online, if you're shopping online, you're going to be looking for the point to be intact. This is round, but it's still intact.
Yeah.
You're looking for the bottom. Make sure you can see all the sides of it. Because sometimes you'll see a front picture and it's nothing on the back of that stone. They'll have a completely broken off back piece and you don't know that till you get it. You're looking at sizes. Make sure you know what size you're seeing, because they could have it in a picture that makes it look bigger than it is. Check the sizes, check the weight, and then compare with a few other vendors to see an average price so you know you're not getting ripped off. The other thing, of course, is you're looking for the bottom. You're looking all the way around at that polish to see what it looks like, if it sits up evenly or not, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's so many good ways of doing that. And because, I always want to make sure that, people who are listening to that really get educated on that, because, I always enjoyed crystals. They're kind of a part of my life. Like I just love having around. I have a lot of my friends have crystals in it. And I love going over the house. There's something about somebody who has crystals, a large amount of crystals in their house. There's just something about the house that it's always just so kind of calming and just refreshing. You feel better. I even just like going into crystal stores. Like I
It's amazing because you think you could rock the foundation off with that vibration, right?
Yeah.
But it's not, it's calming. And I tell them, look, be good. That's what I tell them. Be good. Because they could bother me and they don't bother me at all. They could just decide to be active and they're not. They're very nice.
Yeah, it's really, really, really amazing. And I really appreciate you being on the show today for, talking about crystals, because I've been wanting to do a crystal show for a while. And I've had a lot of friends, DMing me and say, Michael, you need to do a show about crystals. And I'm so glad that I found you on the ARE platform there and doing things like that. So I know that's a big deal, because I know they choose their guests very carefully. Because it is the ARE, and
I do it once a month there on the fourth Tuesday of the month, but from 6 to 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah,
it's various, subject matter.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic thing, and I learned a lot just from it was like 20-minute videos that you had on the ARE, and I'm always a big fan of the ARE and support them as much as I can through their podcast and having guests like yourself on too as well. So I've had several people from the ARE. I've had actually, John Van Auken on the show, which was very popular. People have been asking me to have him back on again. So hopefully, if you're listening, John, you maybe get another email to ask you to come back on.
Great. That's wonderful. And my videos are stored on the ARE Facebook page. All of them are there. I think we've got 14 or 15 so far. So.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. So if you're looking for some more information there, we'll direct you to that. I'll have that information in the description below. But that being said, Angela, if people were trying to reach out to you and they want to find a little bit more about crystals, they want to, pick your brain a little bit more about the knowledge of crystals, where can they find you?
They can email me at Ange's, which my nickname is Ange. So ANGS, Ange's Crystal Corner at gmail.com.
Okay.
ANGS Crystal Corner at gmail.com.
Yeah. And I'll have,
we'll interact and I'll exchange phone numbers, etc., that kind of thing.
Yeah. So this is the nice thing about the show too, as well. So I'll have all that information in the description, in the podcast description. So if you're listening this in the on Spotify or Apple or Anchor FM or any other great places that you find my amazing podcast, just scroll down. I'll have Angela's all her information, her bio, how to contact her. So, and again, if you're watching this on the YouTube, you can see all the crystals we were showing. I know a lot of people are listening. What is she putting up? It's like, you may have to go to YouTube to see all the crystals that she was putting in there, but we talked about them, and I'm just so deeply grateful that you're a bit on the show today, Angela.
And I'm happy to do it anytime. Really
yeah.
Well, we may have
a part. You may have another. I may be taking you up on that offer for sure on that. So
no problem. You let me know.
All right. Well, thank you so. Yes, thank you. And just for everybody, I'm just going to close off the podcast here. This has been the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Thank you so much for joining me, and goodbye for now.